This is so fun. I'm so glad this happened. Y'all could thank Natalie again. Y'all should thank Natalie because she's wonderful. Because I wouldn't have read these. I don't know how I'm ever gonna find something better than domestic married giants who bicker. Oh my god. So anyway, so this is I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going to be in it, but it's for Ryan. The chapter 9 is Searching for Dragons, in which they discover oh, no! In which they discover the perils of borrowed equipment. At first, the magic carpet ride was thoroughly enjoyable. The air was crisp, and cool, and there was no noise at all except their own voices. The view was amazing, even better than looking down from a mountain. The mountains of morning stood in crooked, gray-blue, I almost said gruble. I'm a fucking mess right now. Gray-blue rocks rose below, each crack and boulder outlined in sharp black shadow. Tiny figures moved across the rocks and through the strips of greenery at the bottoms of the mountains, sheep and mountain goats and adventurous knights. Every now and then, Mendenbar caught a glimpse of the lush trees of the enchanted forest between the peaks. Stop craning your neck like that, Simrine said. You are confusing the carpet. Wait, why can't there just be one driver? Anyway, sorry, Mendenbar sneaked a last look and sighed as the patch of green disappeared behind a rock slope. How is Willen getting along without him? Mendenbar, is your sword slipping? Simran said. I thought I felt something for a minute there. Is it coming out of that sheath? No, Mendenbar replied, checking it. It's fine, and I haven't touched it. Are you sure it was the sword? No, Simran admitted. Maybe we flew over something magical, and that's what I felt. It's gone now. Good, said Mendenbar. Are you... The carpet gave a sudden lurch sideways and then dropped 3 feet. Mendenbar, Simmerine cried. I told you to stop that. It wasn't me, Mendenbar protested, trying to find something to hang on. Or hang on to, sorry. Well, it wasn't me, and there's only the two of us up here, Simmerine shouted. The carpet rippled alarmingly, then resumed its peaceful progress. Cautiously, Mendenbar turned his head to look at Simmerine. Wisps of black hair had come loose from her braids to blow wildly across her face. It made her look particularly lovely. Why did I have to read it in that voice? Sorry. I'm not sorry. Even though she was scowling at him, Mendenbar blinked and pulled his thoughts together. I really didn't do anything, he said. But the carpet wiggled and began to spin slowly. Mendenbar swallowed hard, wishing he had not eaten quite so much breakfast. He closed his eyes and then opened them again, very quickly as the carpet bounced twice, paused, and started spinning twice as fast in the opposite direction. Carpet! Mendenbar shouted. Cut it out! The lurching and spinning stopped. The carpet hung motionless in midair for a long moment, then dropped like the bottom falling out of a cardboard box. Simmering gasped, and then something that sounded like oof as the carpet froze once more, 3 feet lower than it had been. Mendenbar started to push himself up, and then, without warning, the carpet dropped another 3 feet. This time, the Mendenbar stayed flat on the teddy bears. 2 seconds later, the carpet dropped again, and again, and again. Mendenbar lost track of the bumps and concentrated on keeping track of his stomach. Suddenly, the carpet spun around twice and took off in a steep, fast climb. Whoa! Simrain cried. Whoa, you stupid carpet, cut it out! Again, the carpet froze. Then it dropped again, but this time, instead of bumping, it fell like a stone. Mendengar got a glimpse of the ground drawing quickly closer. Then he had both hands on the hilt of his sword. He didn't bother to pull it out of its sheath. He just yanked at the power it held and flung it around himself and Simrain. Then he shoved with all his might. Their speed slowed abruptly. I love his magic. The carpet fell away beneath them, rippling angrily, and plopped down on a rocky depression at the foot of a mountain. Mendenbar and Simrain drifted after it, landing softly in the carpet's center. They lay there for a moment, catching their breath and collecting their wits. Finally, Mendenbar raised his head and looked warily around. They lay in the middle of a circle of pine trees. I think we've arrived, he said, sitting up. Good, Simrine said shakily. She sat up, pushing tendrils of hair out of her face, and gave him a crooked smile. I guess I should have asked Ballamore a few more questions about this carpet before we took it. Yes, well, it's too late now. Mendenbar rolled off the carpet and stood up. How far have we come? A little over halfway, I think. Too far to walk back, not far enough to walk the rest of the way there. She made a face at the teddy bears, which looked innocently back. We may have to try the carpet again. We don't have to try it right away, though, Mendenbar pointed out. There's a house over there. You can see the roof through the trees. Maybe the owner can tell us exactly where we are and the shortest way to get where we're going. All right, Simrine agreed, with a swiftness that made Mendenbar think she was no more eager to get back on the carpet than he was. We'll have to bring the carpet with us, though. If you leave magical things lying around, all sorts of dreadful things can happen. Mendenbar had to admit that she was right, though he wasn't happy about it. They set Ballimore's lunch in the middle of the carpet, then rolled the rug around it, folding the fringe carefully to the inside. Then Cimmerian took the front end, and Mendenbar picked up the rear, and they started toward the house. Weaving through 3 rows of pine trees, they ducked under the low-hanging branches along the outer edge of the grove and emerged in front of the house. It looked, thought Mendenbar, as if it had been put together by the same person who had built his palace, except that instead of too many towers and staircases, this house had too many windows. Square windows, round windows, wide windows, tall windows, skinny windows, diamond windows, tiny windows filled with milky glass, enormous picture windows, windows with stained glass pictures of ladies in sweeping robes and birds with gold feathers, open windows with curtains blowing out of them. The roof was made of red tile and skylights, and the chimney had a square block of clear glass on the front side. Why do you need a window on a chimney? For Santa. Duh. He wants to see the view. Okay. Why do I say things out loud? Even the door had a window in it, right in the middle at about waist height. With only 2 floors, there were hardly enough walls to hold all the windows, in spite of the way the building sprawled in all directions. As they drew near, Mendenbar felt a faint aura of power around the house, hanging in the air like mist. He was about to mention it to Cimmerian when he heard yells and shouts of laughter coming from behind the house. Suddenly, a small blonde girl dashed around the corner and stopped short, staring. A slightly larger boy followed in hot pursuit and barely managed to stop in time to avoid a collision. The blonde child looked at him reproachfully, then turned toward the house and shrieked at the top of her voice, "Herman! Herman, there's people! There's people!" Bah! A deep voice came carrying through the open window beside the door. "I don't want any people. Tell them to go away." The little girl obediently turned to Cimmerian. "Go away, please," she said, and she stuck her thumb in her mouth. "No, thank you," Cimmerian responded. "We want to talk to your parents." "Haven't got any," said the boy. He tilted his head to one side, as if considering, then took off for the house at a dead run. "Herman, they won't go," he shouted as he ran. "They want parents. His shouting stopped as he dove headfirst through the open window and vanished inside. What? One of the upstairs windows scraped open, and 2 older children poked their heads out. At the same time, 3 small heads appeared at the corner of the house, gazing timidly at Mendenbar and Cimmerian. Cimmerian looked at Mendenbar and set her end of the carpet on the ground. Mendenbar put his end down too, and stepped forward to stand beside her. The children stared at them without speaking. "Absolutely not!" the cross voice shouted. The front door of the house flew open, and a dwarf stomped out. He was not much taller than the oldest of the children, but his long black beard and muscular arms showed plainly that he was no child. His hair looked like an upside-down black haystack. He glared angrily at Mendenbar. "I won't do it," the dwarf declared before either Mendenbar or Cimmerian could say anything. "I don't care if it's family tradition. I don't care if you need the money. I don't care if her mother lied, and now you have to convince her council. I don't care if your mother is going to turn her into a toad tomorrow if she doesn't perform. I will not do it, and that's final." "That's quite all right," Cimmerian said. "We don't want you to. We just want—" "I know what you want," the dwarf said, hopping fiercely from one foot to the other. "You want a chance to talk me into it. Well, you won't get one, missy. You should be ashamed to even consider such a thing." "What the hell are you talking about? What?" "She isn't considering it," Mendenbar said. "We're travelers, and we just stopped to get some directions." The dwarf paused in mid-hop. Balancing on one foot, he peered suspiciously at Mendenbar. One of the children giggled. The dwarf glared in the direction of the sound, then turned back to Mendenbar. "Directions? What sort of directions?" he asked, with evident mistrust. "Who are you, anyway?" "I'm Princess Cimmerian, and this is King Mendenbar," Cimmerian said, "and we're trying to get to the cave where the dragon Falgorn lives." "Oh, you're after a dramatic rescue," the dwarf said with relief. "I suppose that's all right, but are you sure you know what you're getting into? Dragons are tough." "No, no," Cimmerian said, in the exasperated tone of someone who is very tired of correcting the same mistake over and over. "I'm chief cook and librarian for Kazul, the king of the dragons, and I'm very happy with my job, and I don't want anyone to rescue me." The dwarf's eyes narrowed. "Then why are you looking for this other dragon?" "Because I have an urgent message for Kazul, and she's gone to visit Falgorn," Mendenbar explained. "Huh." The dwarf hesitated, looking from Cimmerian to Mendenbar. "How do I know this isn't some sort of trick?" "Why should we want to trick you?" Cimmerian asked. "To get me to spin straw into gold for you, you silly girl," the dwarf said. "That's why everyone comes to see me, and look at all the thanks I get. Children, hundreds and hundreds of children. Bah!" "What? Where did the children come from? I need some water. I need some water. How the hell do children result from spinning straw into... I don't... Do people come with children? They're like, here is my child, give me gold? Like, this is so... The littlest children giggled and pulled their heads back behind the corners as the dwarf spun around. The blonde girl stared solemnly at him for a moment, then took her thumb out of her mouth, ran forward, and gave the dwarf an enormous hug. Thank you, Herman, she said. She told the dumbfounded dwarf. She hugged him again and skipped off, apparently tired of listening. The dwarf smiled foolishly after her. The expression made him look pleasant and almost handsome. After a moment, the dwarf turned back to Simrine, and his frown returned. I don't see the connection between children and spinning straw into gold, Mendenbar said before the dwarf could start complaining again. Would you be good enough to explain it to me? Explain? The dwarf fumed. That's what the last girl said, and what happened? Twins, that's what happened. What? And she claimed she couldn't remember which one was first, so I ended up with both of them. I can see why that would be annoying, Simrine said non-committally. The dwarf glared at her. Yes, you say that now, but... what's the use? You'll get it out of me one way or another. If you'd rather not tell us, Mendenvar started, but the dwarf cut him off with a despairing wave. It doesn't matter. It's my fate, that's what it is. I should never have agreed... I'm going to do this right. I should never have agreed to learn to spin straw into gold in the first place. Why did you? Mendenbar asked. It's a family tradition, the dwarf answered gloomily. Of course, it doesn't work if you're just spinning for yourself. So a long time ago, my great-grandfather offered to use his talent to help out a girl who was in a sticky situation. If he hadn't been such a do-gooder, I wouldn't be in this mess. Are you talking about Rumpelstiltskin? Did I mix up my fairy tales? No, that was Rumpelstiltskin, right? Now I have to look, because I'm being ridiculous and looking everything up. That's right, the princess, yeah. No, it was Rumpelstiltskin. Was he a dwarf? Anyway, what am I doing? Okay, what good did he do, exactly, Mendenbar asked. The local prince had gotten a notion that the girl could spin straw into gold, the dwarf said. Brainless young idiot. But they're all like that. If she could spin straw into gold, why was she living in a hovel? Anyway, Gramps said he'd do her spinning for her in return for part of the gold and her firstborn child. She agreed, but naturally when the baby was born, she didn't want to give him up. So Gramps agreed to a guessing game. If she could guess his name, she could keep the baby. Then he let her find out what his name was. She kept the baby, and Gramps kept the gold, and everyone went home happy. I think I'm beginning to get that. I'm beginning to get the idea, Simrine said. It's not just spinning straw into gold that's a family tradition, is it? It's the whole scheme. It's a scheme. The dwarf nodded sadly. Right, the first time. Only I could never make it work properly. I can find plenty of girls who are supposed to spin straw into gold, but most of them suggest the guessing name, but I've never had even one who managed to guess my name. Oh. Oh dear, said Simrine. I even changed my name legally, so it would be easier, the dwarf said sadly. Herman isn't a difficult name to remember, is it? Where do you go to legally change your name as a dwarf? I don't want to know. But no, the silly chits can't do it, so I end up with the baby as well as the gold, and babies eat and cry and need clothes, and the gold runs out. I had to find another girl to spin gold for, and it happens all over again, and I end up with another baby. It isn't fair. You seem to be fond of the children, though, Mendenbar said. The dwarf looked around to see whether any of the children were within hearing distance, and then nodded sheepishly. They're good kids. It's just that there are too many of them. I moved out here so it would be harder for the silly girls to find me and talk me into spinning for them, but they keep finding me anyway. It was a rather drastic move, wasn't it, Simrine said. What about the dragons and giants and rock snakes and so on? Oh, they're no problem. The house used to belong to a magician, and he left a lot of guarding spells on it. Nothing nasty can get anything near. That's why it feels magical, Mendenbar said, relieved. It's an odd sort of house for a wizard, Simrine said, studying it. Why so many windows? Not a wizard, the dwarf said. A magician. He was trying to find out which kinds of windows work best when they're enchanted. What's the difference between a wizard and a magician? Did he find out? I suppose so, or he wouldn't have let me buy it. Most of the windows don't work anymore, but there's still around one at the end of the attic that still shows things once in a while. What kind of things? Mendenbar asked. Can you ask to see something in particular, or does it just show scenes at random? Oh, whoa, I'm almost to 15 minutes, so I'm going to make another video and keep reading.